Be prepared to brace yourself as Robert Kiyosaki sounds his final warning. What's coming is more than just a recession. It's a forewarning of something far worse. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. And today we are going to listen to the final economic warning made by one of the most influential voices in finance and economics, Robert Kiyosaki. Robert has not only been the voice of finance for many years, but he is also the founder of Global LLC and the Rich Dad Company. So sit back and pay attention to his advice, as it may help you in grasping a better understanding of finance and economy. Robert Kiyosaki tells us the importance of the West in the economic aspect to the world. He says that after the Second World War, the majority of the world's gold is being held by the United States of America. He says that we will connect multiple dots in the financial history of the world, which will help us in getting a better understanding of the current economic downfall. He says that he started figuring out something in 2017, and until late 2019, he had connected all the dots and realized that he was onto something big. He says that during that time, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies were really taking off, the worth of gold was declining, and the central banks started selling it. So, owning a lot of gold at that time wasn't the best possible financial strategy. He thought that the central banks were trying to digitize their assets by replacing gold with Bitcoin. During the midst of this recession of gold, the German bank made a big deal publicly in which they demanded that the gold they had stored in the US be returned to them. Now, the reason that the United States holds most of the world's gold, particularly after World War II, was that at the end of the Second World War, the US dollar was announced as the world's reserve currency. America promised to protect the gold of other countries. Since it was one of the safest places at that time, America made a deal that it will pay the countries $35 for an ounce of gold, and in turn, you can take the proceeds of that and buy our treasures. And if you want your gold back, we will always sell it back to you for $35 an ounce. Now, things were going like this for a long time, but when Germany demanded its gold bank in 2017, the Bank of Austria, the Bank of Hungary, the Bank of Turkey, Czech National Bank, etc., all of them started to demand the return of their gold. Now, even though gold isn't doing much at the moment, why are the central banks repatriating their gold? And in 2018 and 2019, these countries bought copious amounts of gold, both individually and collectively. So he started to ask himself why these countries were buying gold in such excessive amounts, even though the value of gold was deteriorating. That is because after 2.5 years, the countries had accumulated a massive amount of gold, and the Swiss bank, on April in 2019, decided to quietly jump gold from Tier 3 reserve assets to the world's only Tier 1 reserve asset aside from the US dollar. Now gold is a good, or maybe even better than cash. In 2020, he started to connect another dot. He says that the Chinese Belt and Railroad Initiative, the China Railroad Initiative, is a massive railroad that connects all of Asia and Africa, and some parts of Europe and South America. This will boost the GDP of China to new levels, and it is very dangerous for the West because of all the transactions on that train will be digitized Chinese yen. Most people are unaware of the complexity of this system and how much significance it will have in the world's economy in the coming years. More than 75% of the world will be indoctrinated to this new currency. Now, the third thing that Robert Kiyosaki discovered is that the International Monetary Fund, which is a group of more than 200 countries and was established at Bretton Woods, says that they want a new Bretton Woods, which means that they want a new monetary standard and are not satisfied with the current standard, which is the dollar. Now that you have 200 countries demanding a new standard on top of the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative and all the central banks buying copious amounts of golds, this proves that the IMF wants a new standard, and Robert knows he is onto something massive. 2021 comes and Russia, India, Kazakhstan, Turkey, Hungary, Japan, China, the Czech Republic, and Brazil, all of these countries are buying gold, and no one's talking about it due to its Tier 1 safe status. Now, back to the dollar being the reserve currency of the world. the US dollar was backed by gold as far as the governments were concerned. As we moved towards history at the end of the Vietnam War, President de Gaulle of France realized that America was issuing more dollars for the funding of the war than we had in gold to back it up. He sent warships filled with dollars to America and bought all the gold of his country. So America basically went back on its promise, as its dollars were backed up by nothing. Robert explains that one of the most important reasons why the US dollar has remained the world reserve currency is its deal with Saudi Arabia. America made an agreement with Saudi Arabia that it would provide Saudi Arabia with ammunition and military support on the condition that Saudi Arabia sells its oil only in dollars. So for any country to buy gasoline from Saudi Arabia, it needs to have the US dollar. This has created a synthetic demand for the dollar called the petrodollar. The fourth and most crucial thing that might lead to the economic downfall of the dollar is the day America left Afghanistan. The day after America left Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia signed a deal with Russia for the protection of its oil, and the day after that, Nigeria made the same deal by announcing a military cooperation agreement with Russia. Nigeria is the fifth largest OPEC producer in the world. Subsequently, Nigeria is also selling its oil to China for UN-denominated bonds. These bonds are immediately converted into gold at the Shanghai Gold Exchange. When we join all the dots, we realize that both Saudi Arabia and Nigeria, which are two of the 13 OPEC member countries, are selling their oil to China while both being protected by Russia. Nigeria, part of the Belt Road Initiative, being protected by China, and they are selling their oil in something other than dollars. This is a huge deal and will massively impact the American economy. Anyone who uses the world reserve currency for personal gain has to pay the price, and that is what America is doing right now. The Russian, Iran, and Indian trade route just came out, and all the countries in the group can cut right through while everyone else has to go around the route. We can see countries like Turkey and Saudi Arabia contemplating joining the BRICS. These countries are moving away from the Western alliances. So if Saudi Arabia decides that it will no longer be protected by the US since it has a joint military cooperation agreement and will start selling its oil along with other OPEC producers in currencies like yuan, rupee, or maybe even gold, the value of the dollar will fall down horrendously. And after its value falls, the inflation rates will rise and the interest rates will spike. It's up to us to take matters into our own hands and fight for our economy. We can make up our minds on what we want to invest in or not. That is all we can do now. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching.